It's time now for business. Let's say hello to Kate Moody.
Hi, Francois.
We were talking earlier about that boycott France movement. How's it looking for those who pay attention to the bottom line on this?
Well, there's a lot of concern about it, although France's top representative for international trade has actually downplayed the possible ramifications. Turkey, of course, leading this movement among Muslim nations to boycott French goods after President Erdogan questioned Emmanuel Macron's mental health. Now, those tensions have added to pressure on the Turkish lira, which has already lost over 25% of its value against the US dollar this year. It has hit a series of record lows against it this week, including earlier this Tuesday. Ankara is facing a number of geopolitical spats now, including the conflict with Paris. And France's top official on foreign trade said he believes that European sanctions could be inevitable.
C'est un ensemble d'actions que la France dénonce avec force, mais elle n'est pas la seule à le dénoncer. Toute l'Europe dénonce ces comportements de M. Erdogan et nous devrons avoir une réplique européenne lors du prochain Conseil européen de décembre.
Let's check in on the day's trading action now. The major European indices have closed lower as the number of coronavirus cases across the continent continues to rise. The CAC 40 down nearly 2% here in Paris, although French gaming company Ubisoft saw its shares up 4%. Shares of BP were down 2% in London as the oil giant reported a 96% drop in its quarterly earnings from a year ago. Wall Street's mixed this hour. The tech-heavy Nasdaq managing just some gains there, up about half a percentage point this hour. The equipment maker Caterpillar is down over 3% as its sales and earnings dropped. It's a company that's often seen as a bellwether for the state of the U.S. economy, and that's dragging down the Dow Jones about half a percentage point this hour. Well, a Chinese company is set to break records with its stock market launch in Hong Kong and Shanghai next week. The Ant Group is a financial technology titan in the region, and it's majority owned by the country's richest man, Jack Ma. Cami Nedlek has the story.
Investors have been bitten by the ant bug. Demands for shares in technology firm Ant Group was so high, order books were filled within an hour of launch. The company's IPO is set to become the largest ever, raising over 25 billion euros.
We are betting that Ant Group will be able to grow at a very high pace in the future.
It's the second brainchild of English teacher turned billionaire Jack Ma, who founded the e-commerce giant Alibaba. Already the richest man in China, the flotation is expected to make him another 22 billion euros. Ant's flagship service is Alipay, the world's largest mobile and online payments platform, and hugely popular with Chinese consumers. It's got more than 730 million active users, around half the Chinese population. During peak spending times, such as during holidays, the app can handle over 400,000 transactions per second, 6 times the capacity of Visa. Over 14 trillion euros in digital payments go through the app every year. In China, it's used to buy almost anything. Ant has also started offering loans to consumers and small businesses.
很多，比如我会用支付宝赶车，用支付宝买东西，淘宝上进行网购，买衣服裤子。
The company hasn't been free from controversy. In 2018, it apologized for sharing data on users' spending habits with its credit scoring arm. And there are fears that its data could also be misused by Beijing.
Tiffany and LVMH may be back in touch about a possible merger. The French luxury group called off its takeover in September, citing in part the American jeweler's dismal performance during the pandemic, as well as political pressure over transatlantic tariffs. Legal cases have ensued on both sides, but now reports suggest that they've relaunched those negotiations for a price that would be below the $16 billion that was initially agreed. It comes on the heels of the European Commission giving a green light for the merger to go ahead under the initial terms. Tiffany shares have risen about 5% in New York, while LVMH shares were down slightly here in Paris at the close. Well, here in France, the number of people out of work fell sharply in the 3 months to the end of September. The figures for people registered as fully unemployed fell by 11.5% after a record jump in the previous 3 months. But the jobless numbers are still around 10% higher than they were in the same period last year. Meanwhile, the government is considering further measures to try and limit the spread of the coronavirus and is doubling down on calls for employers to encourage working from home as much as possible.
Ce qu'on constate dans toutes les entreprises qui appliquent ce protocole, c'est qu'il n'y a pas de chaîne de contamination. Donc c'est un protocole qui est efficace, même si on est bien protégé dans son entreprise. C'est important dans le contexte actuel de l'épidémie d'éviter les déplacements, d'éviter aussi les contacts qu'on peut avoir en marge de son travail. Donc je pense que c'est important d'aller à fond sur le télétravail pour les postes qui peuvent être télétravaillés.
Well, deemed places of significant contamination, gyms and sports facilities have been closed in all French cities that are officially on high alert for COVID-19, including Paris. But the closures have also been an opportunity for them to explore new ways of securing their customer base, as Joanna Citrick and Claire Pecanal explain.
Margot now takes yoga classes in her living room.
On est attiré par le canapé, on est attiré par, moi en l'occurrence, le piano, mon travail, etc. Donc il me tarde que les salles réouvrent.
With Paris on high alert for COVID-19, Margot's gym has had to temporarily close its doors. But it learned to adapt while France was on lockdown earlier in the year with live and on-demand training videos.
C'est important pour garder vraiment ce lien avec nos clients les plus engagés, les plus fréquentants. Le digital, s'il est bien utilisé, peut être un vrai complément pour engager encore plus ses clients.
But the online classes far from make up for the gym's losses while it's closed. When it fully reopens, it'll offer membership plans that combine online and in-person classes. Not all sports businesses, though, have had to worry about closing their facilities. Based in an office, Station F, a start-up hub in Paris, La Sèche has been offering online-only classes since 2017.
Pendant le confinement, on a connu un pic de vente. On a vraiment essayé d'adapter notre offre à ce moment-là. Et après, c'est vrai qu'il y a une tendance à la hausse qui s'est manifestée ces derniers mois et surtout à la rentrée.
With community challenges, eating programs and healthy recipes, La Sèche is looking for new ways to engage with its customers and ensure they stick around when gyms and sports centres eventually reopen.
And we're going to wrap up by showing you some footage that was spotted by our producer, Freddie, in the gallery. This is something that's been circulating online, Francois. We thought we'd like your opinion on it. This is the Money Expo that took place in Bangkok over this weekend. And these are bank mascots. Apparently every bank there has its own special, rather talented mascot there, engaging in a dance-off.
A dance-off, okay. Who won?
I think everybody wins in this situation. Everybody or nobody. I'm not quite sure.
All right, well...
Perplexed by it, aren't you?
a little bit. Kay Booty with today's business. We'll have more business news for you later on